Sony just announced that they're launching a new L2 on Ethereum. Well, it's already launched on testnet called Soneium. So in this video, we're just gonna unpack the details behind it and if it's bullshit or not. Like, should we be excited about this? Can this onboard more people into crypto? I'm gonna give you guys all my thoughts about it and all of the research that I've found, okay? So before we get started, we have to say none of this is financial advice. These are my own perspectives, research, and opinions, and should be treated as such. Okay, so first, before we get started, what is Sony? What is an L2? So we all probably heard of Sony. They have the PlayStations. They're a gaming company. They're a public company. I believe they're a Japanese company, and they've been making game systems and I believe games. I don't know if they make games. I doubt it. I'm not a big gamer, but they've been making gaming systems since before I was born. I remember I had a PlayStation growing up, the gray one, right? Now, what is a layer 2? So before I explain what a layer 2 is, I have to talk about the blockchain trilemma. So picture a triangle where you have decentralization on one side, you have scalability on the other side, which is transactions per second. Visa does around 64,000 transactions per second. Ethereum and Bitcoin is at like 7 and 14. So you have decentralization, scalability, and then you have security. Pick two, okay? So Bitcoin is famous. The two that Bitcoin is strong in is security and decentralization. Scalability is super low. They can only handle around 7 transactions per second. And ETH is known for the same thing. But I made a video on this. If you take a modular approach, you can actually compensate all three of those things. You have to just employ something called specialization, right? So on a blockchain, you have 3 different components. You have the consensus layer that says what's true. For Bitcoin, that's proof of work. For ETH is now proof of stake. You have a data layer, which is like your storage. So this is why you have these parallel sharding, parallel blockchains to run alongside the chains that stores all the data. And then you have execution, which is your computational finality, right? The only way to increase the scalability is to have the execution layer happening alongside the chain, and this is what layer 2s are for. So you picture a restaurant or a bar per se. Let's say you go into a bar, you don't swipe your card and pay for a drink every time you want a drink. You open up a tab, you put your drinks on there, your food, and when you're ready to close out the tab, they'll have you pay for all those transactions in one fell swoop. Could you imagine if you had to get in line every time pay for a drink? People wouldn't like going to bars as much. It's the same exact thing with blockchains. These layer 2s, you have optimistic and ZK rollups. I've made videos on both. And they're called rollups because they roll these transactions up just like they would at a bar. And they submit them to the layer 1. Actually, when they roll them up, they compress them into the smallest packet of data possible before they submit it to layer 1 because it saves even more storage. And this is just like when you compress an email. When you compress an email, you put it into a zip folder, you send it out, and then the person who receives it, they can unzip it, and then they can download all that stuff to their computer. It's the same exact thing with blockchains. So layer 2s help blockchains scale and increase what's called the transactions per second, right? Because if blockchains are ever going to be like a main thing, you're not going to want to pay these extremely high gas fees. Like on ETH, it'll tell you the range you'll pay your gas fees on. Like imagine if you went to a store and it said, oh, I'm going to buy this juice. And it said on the card reader, your fee will be between $5 and $100 or $5 and $200. And you won't know what it is until you actually swipe the card and pay for it. That's not mainstream. No one's going to go for that, right? So L2s is basically just helping to make blockchain scalable and help with adoption so everyday people can use it and not get pissed off, right? So now Sony's hopping in. Let's look at the details. All right, Soneium blockchain launched by Soneium to attract Web3 developers. So they have a few partnerships, right? You have Optimism, Circle, Alchemy, The Graph, and Chainlink. These are all, you can say, blue chip Web3 projects. Optimism is a layer 2 built on ETH. It's also what Base is built on, which is Coinbase's layer 2. Circle is like the owners of the USDC stablecoin. Coinbase is also a part owner in Circle. And then Chainlink is Oracle's, which bridges on-chain and off-chain data, and that's all kinds of data, right? Now, this Soneium is live on the testnet, and I think their SDK is out for developers to start using it. And it says Sony Group's initiatives with other Web3 technologies include its video game division filing a patent on March 2023 to adopt NFTs, non-fungible tokens, as the NFT framework for transferring and using digital assets between game platforms, initiative. This move was in an effort to provide its gamers with more opportunities associated with their in-game assets. So let's talk about that. A lot of companies have these patents in the metaverse to do a lot of things with NFTs, and this is where things are going. Like, I think gaming companies have a chance to bring in like a large amount of people into Web3, because people who play games are used to like playing with an avatar, building that avatar up with special weapons, special skins, clothes, like all kinds of accessories. But the problem is, for example, let's say I'm playing Grand Theft Auto and I get all these cars and these guns and these things. After I beat the game, I have no use for it. Well, what if after I beat the game, all of those skins I built up were NFTs and now I can take them to another game? That's what Soneium is trying to do, right? And if you just think about the real world, let's say I'm a sword collector. If I have a sword on my wall, the only use I'm gonna get out of it is if people come over, they'll get to look at it. It's gonna collect dust unless I clean it off, and that's it. But if I have an NFT, I can have a sword that matches it on the wall, but I can also use that sword in a game. I can rent it out to other people, have them use it, and you have a smart contract that says, hey, they rent it out for this long. If they don't make a payment, it goes back to your wallet. So you don't have to worry about it getting stolen. And it actually has utility, and you don't have to worry about wear and tear, because an actual item that you collect, as soon as you take it out the box, it's like driving a car off a lot. The value goes down immediately. It's not new anymore. Another thing Sony said in their press release is that it's a next generation blockchain ecosystem designed to evoke emotion and empower creativity. So, as I was digging deeper, I came across the values that they're looking to build upon. So the first one is going mainstream. So they're trying to create a world where everyone uses Web3 technologies. And this is pretty good because Sony's very well positioned to do this through their gaming division. Millions of people buy PlayStations and have been for decades at this point, right? So I think it's more to this than meets the eye. Let's go through the first thing. So you have the early warning signs. So Japan is all in on Web3. The country's prime minister, Fumio Kishida, if I pronounced that right, spoke at a Web3 conference last year stating, a major Japanese company will announce an ambitious large-scale project that will create a valuable economic zone in the metaverse. So you pair that with Sony's NFT patents and the recent news of their standalone LT, which I said is now on testnet. They have 100K grants being offered by Soneium. So this kind of signals that they're taking this pretty seriously. Another big thing, secondary sales, right? So for whatever reason, console makers have never been able to break into the secondary market, but it's not for lack of trying. Like in 2013, it was reported that Microsoft was going to lock the use of physical discs to player accounts so it could get a cut of the secondary sales. And it actually nearly tanked the release of the Xbox One, and rightly so. It's a pretty shitty deal. So instead of trying to break into an existing secondary market where someone has to lose in order for them to win, Sony has the opportunity to create a new one where everyone benefits. So by letting players collect in-game items for free, while adding the option to sell them on a Sony-operated blockchain, which is their L2, players can take the lion's share of the secondary sales revenue, while Sony makes up an overall volume and transaction fees, network fees, right? I don't know what the gas token is going to be. I don't know if they're going to come out with a Soneium token. They might just use ETH since it's being built on ETH and they're already public, but who knows? And secondary sales is a big thing. And this is why Mark Cuban talked about turning Dallas Mavericks tickets into NFTs, because when someone buys Mavericks tickets for the first time, Mark Cuban makes money. But when they sell them on the aftermarket, he doesn't make any money. Same with Jordans. People line up to buy Jordans just to sell them at a higher price on the secondary market. If those were NFTs, you have programmable royalties inside of them so that when they get sold, the original owner automatically gets a payout anytime it's transferred and there's funds involved, right? The important thing to this is mainstream gaming companies have always struggled to add Web3 functionality to their platforms without pissing off their player base. All right, so what can Sony do to kind of avoid these pitfalls of other gaming companies that's tried to do this? The short answer is don't talk about it using the Web3 terms, because it can turn some people off, especially all the people that lost money through NFTs in the last bull market. So you don't say crypto, you don't say Web3, and you damn sure probably don't say NFTs. This is an infrastructure play, and all great tech infrastructure is designed to be invisible. Right? Everyone uses Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Cloud infrastructure just by browsing the internet, but very few are aware of it. Blockchain infrastructure within Sony's gaming and entertainment ecosystem should do the same. right? So they won't call it NFTs. They'll probably just call them regular skins and announce on there, hey, you can sell these skins and take them to a different game. They'll probably have like some in-game wallet, and then boom, people are using NFTs without knowing them, just like we flick on our light switch and use electricity without knowing what the hell it actually is and how it works. So in closing, I think this is a great thing. I hope Sony is successful in this, because it's only gonna help pump my bags. And you know, I want that. Why wouldn't I? And I love seeing, I'm just passionate about Web3. I want to see it go mainstream. So the fact that so many companies are taking it serious, offering grants, taking out patents, all these things, I like it. So I approve. Is it bullshit or not? It depends on how they execute. Only time will tell. But if you like this kind of content, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, share with a friend, share with a gamer. Let me know what projects, what mainstream companies going into crypto you want me to cover next. Other than that, I love every single one of you who tuned in, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and trade safe.